Well, I'm glad to have you. You're still watching Newsnight with me, Ndi Amungo. As the 2027 elections approach, political movements are gaining momentum across Nigeria, with various parties and players gearing up for the polls. The People's Democratic Party (PDP), once hailed as the largest political party in Africa, is struggling to recover from the deep crisis that plagued its leadership ahead of the 2022 presidential election. The party remains divided, with infighting tearing at its core. In the same vein, the ruling All Progressives Congress (APC) is facing its own set of challenges, grappling with internal crisis in several states. The Labour Party, which saw a surge in popularity ahead of the 2023 elections, has also been weakened by internal conflicts since then. Similarly, the new Nigeria People's Party (NNPP) and the All Progressives Grand Alliance (APGA) are not immune or left out to the crisis that has affected many political groups in the country. Political analysts point to a lack of ideological focus and discipline as root cause of these ongoing struggles within these parties. We have in the studio Peter Edeh, who is a member of the 7th National Assembly and former Commissioner for Education, Ebonyi State. Glad to have you join us.
It's my pleasure.
Like you had me say in that last paragraph, what analysts are saying, what do you make of the fact that analysts are saying the root cause of cross-carpeting crisis is lack of ideology and internal democracy in the parties?
Yeah. Well, those who were in the political arena in the late 70s, and by that I mean 1979,
Yep.
would really tell you that what we have now is not what we had then. At that time, political parties were stronger. Political parties could summon the executives of states, governors, and people like that to knock them into line in order to carry out the things that the political parties had designed and promised the people. All we have now is where governors and chief executives of states, local government, and even the country are more powerful than the parties upon which platform they merged. Because of that, there is no control. The parties are unable to control these people. As a result, money is now the name of the game. And because money is the name of the game, a lot of indiscipline has crept in. People are no longer willing to stay out of power for any length of time because that is where their bread is bought at. Ideology has been thrown to the wind, and it is no longer something that people aspire to grasp. You see, if you look at all the parties in Nigeria, to be fair, you can't say this is the party that is the progressive party, this is the conservative party. But in 1979, we knew that NPN was the conservative party. We knew that NPP and the party of Awolowo were the progressive parties then. You can't say that of the in the current
Dispensation.
Current dispensation. So yeah, you're right. There is a lack of discipline and a lack of ideological forte within the parties now.
When I listened to you, you said then the party and its structure were stronger.
Yes.
What made them stronger? And you said now what you have are individuals like governors and what have you been more powerful than the party. What made the party stronger then? And what is making these individuals more powerful than the party itself? And why is the party unable to rein them in?
It is the general problem we have, not just in the parties, but across Nigeria. There is now an inordinate quest for wealth. There's an inordinate quest for power, an inordinate quest to be in charge. Money bags have taken control of the system It's not like before when people who were ideological Puritans were in place to guide the parties. You know, these days, money bags tend to influence and dictate and decide what happens within the parties. So I think that's where the problem came in. And it is not just in politics. In every other sphere of life in Nigeria, you can see that we have placed undue value on material things. And because of that, you know, we cannot say with certainty that this is where we're headed, this is how we want to get to, and how we get to it.
Where do we lay the, because, I mean, the essence of discussing in the first instance is to find solutions. So where do we lay the problem? Where did this cankerworm creep in? And then how do we get out of this quagmire? Who can, is it the INEC? Is it the legislature? Who will help beat these people into line?
Well, you probably have heard the words attitudinal change. It's more or less a coinage that originated from Ebonyi State.
Okay.
Because what has happened over time is that our value system has been corrupted by, you know, shifts in our values. And the then governor of Ebonyi State, Chief Martin Elechi, came up with the phrase attitudinal change. And I'm happy that that went from Elechi's government to Chief Dave Umahi's government, and from Dave Umahi's government to Chief Francis Nwifru's government in Ebonyi State now. So that should also spread and permeate the entire country. We need an attitudinal change. What we regard as things of value now are things that are actually of no consequence, to the detriment of the things that really matter.
Excuse me.
And that is what is going on in Ebonyi that I really like. The government is deliberate about reorientating the people, making them understand the core values we have as Ebonyi people. And that is where the group that I speak for, called the Francis Frontiers, that is where we come in. Our aim is to re-educate the people of Ebonyi, to see that money is good, but it is not the be-all in life. There are things of value that we should pursue more than we pursue money in an inordinate form. No.
Are you worried that politicians, this is 2025.
Yes.
2 years, we'll get into another election.
Sure.
Are you worried that when it begins to get to this time, politicians seem to jump ship? Of course, we've heard about El-Rufai moving from APC to SDP. Are you worried that they jump from one party to another, especially when elections draw near? And do you think there should be a legislation against defecting to other parties, you know?
Well, you can see what happened recently, you know. The very definition of jumping party, before you legislate against it, you also have to define it more appropriately.
Yeah.
What does it mean to change your party? Is the common man's definition of change of party the same thing as the court's definition? Or are we lost in translation somewhere along the line? I won't go into detail about that, but from the recent judgments we had in court, you can see that somewhere along the line, what you and I, the common people on the street, thought was the meaning and consequence of defection is no longer what we thought it is. The courts appear to hold a different view of it. Now, having said that, I would go more specifically to the El-Rufai case. I don't think you should worry too much about the El-Rufai case, because if you know the history of El-Rufai, if you read up or if you have experienced his past from the time he was in BPE under Obasanjo's government, how he got into BPE in the first place. It is said that it was the former Vice President, Atiku, that brought him in from the UK, introduced him to Obasanjo, who appointed him as chairman of executive secretary or something of BPE. Then
Before becoming a minister.
Before becoming a minister.
Of FCT.
Good. Now, from there, he had issues with Obasanjo. He switched to CPC, formed the CPC with the
former president.
The former president Buhari. Now, from CPC, we all teamed up. I was a member of the APC Major Committee.
Okay.
I represented the ANPP. At that time, I was the only elected House of Representatives member from the Southeast under the platform of the ANPP. I was the only person from the Southeast that won under ANPP. Now, after that, he supported the present government to emerge. Now, when he failed to get ministerial position, which we are all conversant with the story, he's now throwing stones at the same person he projected to be president. That should tell you a lot about the character of the man.
All right.
It's either he gets what he wants or he brings the house down.
You don't believe that what he's saying makes sense?
No, I don't believe.
Okay.
I don't believe it.
Well, let me just leave you with this question before we go. Your group, Francis Frontiers, has been at the forefront of political reorientation in Ebonyi.
Yes.
What is the idea you're trying to pass across? And is it just Ebonyi? Do you have plans to extend it?
No, for now, we are limiting our activities to Ebonyi with the primary intent of supporting Governor Francis Nwifuru. The reason being that we want the people to understand his programs, to own those programs, to champion those programs, and to ensure that those programs become a success. Because these programs are encapsulated in a write-up that is within circulation in Ebonyi. You know, it's called People's Charter of Needs. So, if Nwifuru decides to do a road, there's a reason for it. If he decides to do to put a thesis somewhere, there's a reason for it. And these are the things we try to make the people understand so that they can be part of it. And by the way, like you said before, 2027 is coming.
Just around the corner.
Around the corner. And I think it's time for us to start explaining to the people why what he's doing is good enough to earn him a second term. Just like every other person who has ruled Ebonyi in the past. Governor Samegu had 2 tenures. Governor Elechi had 2 tenures. Governor Omari had 2 tenures. This one is doing as well as any of them did in the past. And naturally, he should get a second tenure as well.
All right. Thank you so much, Peter Edeh,
yes.
Former member of the Legislature, 7th NAS,
yes.
and former Commissioner for Education, Ebonyi State. Thank you for being on Newsnight.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.